Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I'm going to share with you perspective from, I think, 5 different XRP chart analysts. So this video is going to be pretty heavy on XRP specific content, but I got a couple other things for you too, including multiple analysts screaming, hey, pay attention because we're about to see a liquidity tsunami coming. And that's I'll show you the exact quote, but that's what one of them is calling it. And so I pretty strongly believe that the reason markets go when they go, it has to do with liquidity, not the Bitcoin halving. That's a false narrative. The Bitcoin halving just happens to be pretty close to the way that liquidity cycles have been playing out over the last few decades or so. And so I don't know if that's something that cleverly Satoshi Nakamoto lined up, if it's just a fluke, but either way, the liquidity is what matters. And I keep sharing with you specifics on this as I see more finance professionals, chart analysts, those types explaining, hey, here's why liquidity is going to increase. Here's what's actually happening. Here's the data. I'm going to keep sharing it with you because a further increase in liquidity is exactly what you want to see if you want to see your alt bags become heavier and heavier, if you know what I mean. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say are right. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 8:18 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. XRP is 57 cents, Bitcoin at $60,704. So over the last few days in particular, not a lot of crazy activity in the market, but a lot of expectations. We're not going to be hanging out here much longer. A lot of people are expecting some big moves for Bitcoin specifically, XRP specifically, and frankly, the broader market. But given the degree to which XRP is so coiled up, and we'll get to it, but there's a lot of optimism, I'd say, for good reason. Here you have the Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 30 out of 100, so market is in fear, but I keep thinking back to it. I always have thoughts like this every cycle. So like you think about what the sentiment's like at the bottom of a bear market, right? And then before the cycle's over, prices are way higher, but not the highest they've been. You get a pullback, and then people are still in that same mindset of fear. And I'm sitting here thinking, what was it like at the beginning of 2023? I mean, it wasn't that long ago. It's a little over a year and a half ago, right? People calling for $12,000 Bitcoin, which never came. We bottomed out somewhere around $15,000 or $16,000. Very bad sentiment. If those people knew that a little over a year and a half later, Bitcoin would be over $60,000, I think people wouldn't be feeling fearful. It's just so funny how directionally whatever's been happening in the moment, like just people emotionally flying by the seat of their pants. I'm never going to be like that. I refuse to be. It just doesn't make logical sense. The crypto pie gets bigger if you have a sufficient time horizon and you have a sufficient exposure and you're engaging in proper custody methods. There's not so it's like the space isn't as scary as it would be. I understand how it can be intimidating, especially if somebody's new, and I'm not saying there's no risks. There's certainly serious risks to investing in anything, but it's just not as scary as you'd otherwise think. Here's a headline from the Daily Hodl. Perfect setup forming for Bitcoin as global liquidity ticks up, according to analyst Jamie Coates. Okay, so again, as I was getting at the outset of the video, I've been talking about a fair bit recently. As more information on this is popping up and getting circulated in the world of crypto here. Like, this is the reason that markets go. And not just crypto. This is the reason that you see traditional markets go, the stock market. And that's the reason that the stock market goes at the same time that the crypto markets go when prices start ballooning. It's because the stocks and crypto are all treated as risk-on assets. And the more liquidity there is, the more likely it is that people will invest in things that go further out the risk curve, which is the reason I think you could argue, the reason we've recently seen what may be the beginning of expansion into small cap stocks, the Russell 2000. And same concept for smaller cap, mid cap altcoins in the world of crypto. And it starts at Bitcoin and then goes further out the risk curve. Ethereum, ultimately XRP, so on and so forth, right? So my piece reads as follows. The chief crypto analyst at Real Vision says the global money supply, which is M2 metric, is showing a perfect scenario for Bitcoin. Jamie Coates says on the social media platform X that a historical relationship between Bitcoin and M2 suggests that the flagship cryptocurrency is in the midst of a consolidation phase Well, an increase in the money supply sets the stage for Bitcoin's next leg up. And I'll just pause and note here, the more money that goes into Bitcoin, the better, because there will be that much more to slosh through the rest of the crypto space, going further up the risk curve, and a big-ass chunk of it, you better believe, is going to hit XRP. So you want Bitcoin to go as high as freaking possible, because the higher it goes, that means the more money is getting pumped into it and will eventually hit the alts. And of course, some people just cash out, but this is the way it works. So he said, and I quote, "Over the past decade, Bitcoin has had a tendency to trough several months before the bottom in global M2. Then it rips, gets way ahead of the move in liquidity, and has a mid-cycle correction. Now, momentum in global liquidity is starting to accelerate higher, while all the froth from the ETF launches and excess leverage has left the Bitcoin market. The perfect setup," end quote. And he shared the chart that's on your screen for those of you that care to look. Coutts reiterates the link between Bitcoin and the money supply, sharing a chart suggesting that Bitcoin rises with M2 and then corrects once M2 reaches a short-term top. Quote, "In a debt-based fractional reserve financial system, the money supply must continually expand to support the outstanding debt. Otherwise, everything will collapse. This is the natural state," end quote. Last month, Coutts' boss at Real Vision, Ron Paul, made a similar suggestion about liquidity flooding the market, said, quote, "We also think that globally, the Japanese might intervene in their currency selling dollars, which adds dollars into the global system. We also think that most countries will be adding liquidity as well. We think China needs to increase its liquidity," end quote. Yeah, and so there are a lot of ways that liquidity can be increased. It doesn't have to mean, although it can mean, frequently does mean, the government's printing more money. But, I shared a story on my channel, when was it, several days or so ago? And I'm not saying this is the end-all be-all, but it's one more thing. There's a story that the United States government is going to buy back, I think it was like $50 billion in bonds. And so, that's not the money printer, but, it could come from, so where's that money come from? Well, either it's money that they already had, or it could be through the sale of new bonds. But either way, the point is the government would then have those bonds because they purchased it. And then on the flip side of that transaction, what's that mean? There's a lot more money out there. That's a liquidity increase. So again, I'm not saying that's the end all be all. It's a one more thing. There are a lot of reasons that liquidity is increasing for the later portion of this year. That's exciting because it's all perfectly lining up for what you need to see if you want to see the market go ballistic. And there's this post from Dr. Magic, and he says, M2/USD/EUR has begun the expansion phase after an almost 2 years of basing. If you are in the bear camp, good luck fighting the liquidity tsunami that is coming. And then he put in a few ticker symbols, including XRP, because when this happens, like this is what causes markets to go. It's way more simple than what people make it out to be. It is liquidity. It is not the Bitcoin halving. That's a bogus nonsense BS narrative. There's this post from chart analyst Kaleo. And he's talking about Bitcoin dominance here. He says, "Bitcoin dominance looks weak. Bro's waiting for 60% dominance to be the top, going to be waiting the same way Kappa waited for $12,000 Bitcoin to be the bottom." Yeah, so he's referencing an analyst who very famously, unfortunately, was very wrong about where Bitcoin was going at the beginning part of last year. Never admitted he was wrong. I think he's got like $1 million or something. So yeah, he's famous for the wrong reason at this point, fair to say. But, and by the way, I don't care if somebody's wrong if they're operating in good faith. The only thing that bothered me about that guy is he just would never admit he was wrong. He wouldn't do it. And I'm like, that's not intellectually honest. But anyway, point is, Bitcoin price can go way, way, way up. And, if the dominance is decreasing, you should expect that at some point anyway, because more money, it just means that altcoins would be outpacing Bitcoin, which you ultimately want to see. And I've seen all sorts of analysts say, hey, looks like we're probably about at that point. And so dominant at the time he posted this, 56.92% for Bitcoin. There's this post from chart analyst Dom at TraderView2, and he shared this total 3 chart. So that's the entire crypto asset class minus Bitcoin and ETH. And he says, if you believe we are in a bull market, we'd have to believe the low is in here. If not, where's the bull market? You don't flip resistance, push 80%, then lose it 6 months later. Yeah, so if it's not going to happen in the relatively short future, what are we even doing here if there's a bull market? You can't just go sideways literally forever. It's been long consolidation. I state that subjectively. But you got to go at some point here. And so anyway, he's thinking, well, this is pretty much it. And with how everything's been lining up, I'll not be surprised to see the market resume dramatically to the upside. There's also this post from Dr. Magic. Every leg up the 1.618 extension level and then corrected. This is a Bitcoin chart he shares. I could draw the next leg up from $38,000 to $73,000, which have an approximately $110,000. But now we are correcting the move from $25,000 to $75,000. So I expect Bitcoin to hit at least $140,000 plus next month. Not literally next month, but so it means he's saying in the coming months. And I'm seeing all sorts of analysts with expectations in line with that. That's pretty close to what Credible Crypto was saying. I mean, set aside the timeline. Credible Crypto thinks the best guess is probably Bitcoin peaking somewhere around $150,000. And if that happens, my God, the amount of money that will flow into XRP will shock people. Here's another post from Dr. Magic. As long as XRP holds this lower time frame support, is primed for bullish continuation. And so you can see the range he's talking about. This is a couple days ago we posted this, but maybe as low as 52 cents. And at this moment, we're pretty safely above that. You can see the upper end of the box. It would probably be somewhere closer to 56, 57 cents. Yeah, around there. You can see because this dotted line here is 56. And then yesterday posted this. And this is XRP again. Watch for that RSI breakout for XRP to foreshadow the next leg up. And so you can see he drew a trend line here. He's saying that's the thing to watch for in RSI when that thing breaks. Whew. And historically, that's another one of the things that needs to line up in direction. It looks like it's about where you would hope and expect it would be. Here's another one from Dr. Magic. Seen some posts claiming that XRP won't make a new all-time high. Zoom out, fellas. First of all, I have made it clear that I believe whole market is in a 2017 scenario, and even if I'm wrong last time, XRP dominance, and even with the SEC lawsuit, XRP made a 10x. All-time highs is a slam dunk. Yeah, so this idea that if we're going to have a proper alt season, the idea that XRP won't participate is completely absurd to me. I can understand why it didn't so much last market cycle without no new all-time high, and you can argue it's because it needed to consolidate longer if you think that's a major factor. I don't know. I think the most compelling argument is that it was under attack by the SEC. We don't have that anymore. And it's consolidated for years since then. And so he says that XRP made a 10x. Well, it depends on where you look from. I don't know if he's considering, after the bad news about the lawsuit at the end of 2020. But I will tell you, if you actually measure from the bottom of the market cycle, which would be March of 2020, XRP dropped to 10 cents and then went to $2 a little over a year later. That's a 20-fold increase. So what do you think the multiplier is going to be? And that was a 20-fold increase last cycle with XRP being under attack. It still had a 20-fold increase. Now XRP bottomed out higher than that cycle ultimately. For this cycle, it bottomed out at 28 cents in June of 2022. 28 cents. But still, what's the multiplier going to be this time? I'm imagining it's going to look pretty damn good, and we're going to be happy by the time this is done. Here's a post from Dom. XRP short-term update. Price has been consolidating pretty hard here. Breakout looks imminent. I don't see strong indications either way. Breakup will send us back to 63-cent range, and a breakdown will land us back in green zone. So you can see the green zone, maybe as low as 54 cents or so. But the point is, and he posted this morning, mind you, for XRP, something's going to happen very short term, but it doesn't, just be clear, it doesn't change his expectations big picture, which is that XRP, he is one of the analysts that firmly believes that XRP will be hitting a new all-time high. Here's a post from chart analyst Bobby A. And you got XRP at the top, and you got Stellar Lumens XLM at the bottom. And by the way, I just wanted to mention this. When we got to the conclusion of the Ripple case on the 7th, Stellar Lumens popped up just at the same time XRP did. Now, of course, as you know, XRP didn't have some big burst. It was much smaller than what we saw when XRP got legal clarity over a year ago. But it did get a pop. So XRP was up how much? 20, 25%? I can't remember, something like that. XLM, it had the exact same moment, even though the court case had nothing to do with XLM, it did pop. Maybe it was like 10 or 12% at the time. But it did the same thing. It's just an observance. I don't know for sure why that's happening, of course. But it is interesting to see how XLM frequently gets treated the same as XRP, even for reasons that clearly have nothing to do with it. But anyway. So here he says, symmetry. If you think this is a coincidence, then I have some beachfront property to sell you at Arizona. XRP and XLM successfully backtested their initial 2017 impulses in 2020. And they're currently backtesting the necklines of their respective 2020 inverse head and shoulders. And so you can see what he showed on the screen there. He's saying that looks kind of samey. What do you think that means? There are all sorts of things that I've seen from many analysts saying, hey, this looks very similar to 2017, various metrics. Here's another thing. What do you think that means? Like, XRP just went ballistic in 2017. It was the #1 performer for the entire asset class. Yeah, I'm ready for something like that again. How about you guys? Here's a post from Crypto Insight UK. XRP updated wave count. To confirm either scenario, we need to see closes above 64 cents and then 75 cents after that. We'll see these and we'll be screaming on here. And he shared that chart. He also said that this is possible. So again, you'll need to look at the screen to see exactly what he's talking about here, but ultimately much higher regardless. Then that was on top of a post that he shared from a little bit earlier in the day saying XRP BTC lower time frame inverse head and shoulders forming above a key level. XRP ETH lower time frame sloping inverse head and shoulders forming in support. Also bullish divergence on the 1 hour. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff that's very similar from various analysts coming to their own conclusions for, frankly, pretty similar reasons in many cases. Here we have Dark Defender. He says, do you remember the bullish weekly pin bar we announced lately? And now this is the monthly candle for XRP. Isn't it the same bullish hammer candle? The same will happen on a grander scale. Initial targets are $1, $1.40 and $1.88. Not financial advice. Hashtag XRP Army. So targets haven't changed at all, despite the short-term action here, but we cannot flutter about here sideways forever. Like, XRP is going to break out of this range. Like, what do you think's most likely? If we're going to have a full-on bull season, like crazy euphoria and all that nonsense, what do you think that means for XRP? I'm betting much higher. Nobody knows for sure. I don't make price predictions, and I could be wrong, but my suspicion is so long as everything else goes, yeah, why wouldn't XRP be worth a fortune compared to where it is right now? People don't want to buy XRP at 57 cents, but if price pushes up to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bucks, who knows where it goes? That's when people will want it. People didn't want Bitcoin when it was 16 grand. They wanted to buy it 70 grand. Because reasons, folks. Because of emotional investing. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.